Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Dr. Andrea, happy Friday. How are you?
I am hunky-dory. We've got some fun people on today. Super exciting.
It's very exciting. And every time I get to hang out with you, it's very exciting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've decided to start doing this. Sifu!
Oh, my goodness. I love it.
Yes. And once we have our guests on, I'll explain why.
Oh, okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and bring them on. Faisal and Anita, come on down. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Good morning, actually.
Happy Friday to you all.
Happy to see you both.
Ooh, great to see everyone.
So this is because my girlfriend, she said the other day she went to go visit her grandson. He's 3, and he was on the other side of the counter. He had just come down from waking up, and the daughter said, Aiden, go look and see what's around the counter. And he looks around the counter and he goes, yay, my friend Doo-Doo. Her grandma name is Doo-Doo. That's what he started calling her. But he was so excited to see her that, hey, my friend. And so she said she wanted to start doing that. And I realized I felt very good when she did that to me. So I've been now doing it to my friends every time I see them. And they laugh at me, but they then start laughing and smiling. And it's been really a fun thing to do.
That is fun.
I
love
encourage everyone to try doing it. Be the most excited you could be to see the people.
Yeah. Well, I'm a hugger, so you know that. And I always hug you every time we see each other. We actually saw each other in Canada, and we spent some nice times together. I love what we're talking about today. It's building freedom and the purpose through business. How do we build freedom in business? Don't we have to be busy working? Just asking.
I would say the opposite. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think building freedom is an intention into your vision. It's how we align what we're looking to do in life, and especially being heart-centered. If it's heart-centered and everything else, the way we think, act, and feel, it all aligns together. We create our own freedom through that.
Yeah.
So I was running, this is very timely. I was running 2 group sessions yesterday with a bunch of entrepreneurs, investors, and the topic was personal freedom. So this is very, and it's interesting. And it was very discussion oriented. I wanted to hear everybody's perspective on what personal freedom, and it's such a abstract term. What the hell does personal freedom mean? What is freedom? And it's abstract. You don't know until you explore it. And the problem that I find over and over with me as I was on my journey, but with my clients as well, is that we tend to copy other people's idea of freedom. We don't explore what that means to us specifically. And to Anita's point, we don't connect it to a vision that connects to our thoughts, our emotions, I'd say our sense of purpose, our spiritual life. What do we really want? And unless you've specifically defined that, stop copying people, because you will end up on a path, which is fine. You're going to experiment, do a bunch of stuff. Often I find people go on a path, and about 10 years later, they ask themselves, why the hell did I do this? Why did I build this business? Why did I buy this house? Why am I in this marriage? But the challenge was that they never did the upfront work to really think about what matters to them deep down.
Powerful.
I love what you said there, because doing what other people want or what other people are suggesting, or comparing ourselves to other people, not being in our true authentic, and most people don't even know who they are, really, unless they start doing the inner work. So we're copycatting everyone in life, and we're really not creating or forging our own, path. We're not creating, we're not identifying our own identity and who God created us to be and what he called us here for. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, don't you think it's ironic that we have an independent fingerprint of anyone else in the billions of people in the world? Our eyes, our lips, they're all independent. They're our own independent signature that God gave us when he created us. So that tells me that walking into our identity of who God created us to be allows us to do some really deep dive searching inside of ourselves, and finding out what we're passionate about, finding out what lights us up, what if we're going to be the light of the world, we should be lit up in our passions, right?
Yeah. I gotta I gotta say, so many times I've heard people go, man, I wish I was in their shoes. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. What if they have smelly shoes or holy shoes? I don't know. But I don't want to be in their shoes, because also we don't know what someone we are looking at has gone through to get there. Are we willing to do what they have done? I know most people say, oh, Sifu, I'm like, no, you don't want to be me. I don't want to be who I was yesterday. This is why every day I challenge myself to be better, and I have to be. Otherwise, I'm the same guy I was yesterday. I don't want to be that guy. Plus, if I put my foot in a stream or a lake, the lake may be similar, but the water's still going to move. I'm a different person every time I step into it. So it's for us to understand that, yes, Anita, we are unique. We are God's gift. But we need to understand that day in and day out, and not compare ourselves to anyone else, because we have been given gifts that no one else has, including our fingerprint.
Yeah. And all this sounds so incredible and so poetic and so metaphorical at times, but the problem is that I remember when I was starting out as a business owner, like I would say these words, they were very powerful, but in my experience, I hadn't experienced it, so it didn't actually mean much to me. And it's like, what the hell? Where do I get started in here? And somebody might be sitting there, well, I have a business. I started a business because I wanted a dream life, but I'm working constantly to run a business, become a job, and I'm nowhere close to where I wanted to be before. And if you're somebody who is there, whether you've built a successful business, a successful, quote unquote, successful life, which means that you have some amount of resources, you have a family, you have a bunch of stuff you get to do, or at least on the outside, it looks great. But then internally, you're feeling like, you know what, the image that is on the outside is not actually my experience of it. And that's where, if you feel that, that's the starting point of like questioning that. And I would say, and there's a framework that I walk my clients through, is if you're going to define that freedom for yourself, it starts with understanding that human experience is not just external. We have an internal world to us, which we were kind of alluding to on the spiritual side, purpose side, all those things. But the challenge is that most people, especially in the world of social media, they look at the outer world more, and we only see the outside of things. Oh, this person has a Lamborghini. This person looks like he has a business. She has a business. She's got a house. She's got this family going on. And I've spent the past 10 years going deeper into people's personal lives. And the more I have dug in, the surface is usually very different than underneath it. And I think that's the case for everybody. Now, the problem is it's the extreme different from what it looks like. So what I tell my clients is that you need to go on an exploration journey. First of all, keep doing what you're doing, but get clear on that you need to have an internal sense of freedom and an external. The external, usually investors and business owners define it as, well, I want time freedom, location freedom. I want to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it with whomever I want to do it. But the problem is they never define. So let's say I have all that, and I work with clients right now who are multimillionaires. And I have one of the most painful things I've heard from a client is like that I've worked with. He's exited a company. He started another company. He's not even involved in it. He knows how to run businesses. He knows how to create passive income. He knows how to create time freedom. And he blurted something out to me, and I'm mixing the pronouns and stuff just so nobody identifies him or nobody knows him on the outside. So he's in the background. He's not even on social media. But one of the things he said, he's in his 60s, and he's like, you know what I hate the most is that he's sitting there in his home. He doesn't even go to his office with his business, and he's like, you know what I hate is when my eldest son comes to me and tells me, give me $160,000 because I need your help. Like, that's not why I built a business, for the people around me to become dependent on me. And he has a long list of recommendations, like a cabinet around him. Why? Because he spent 20 years running a business that run his health into the ground. And he's like, what I want to be is happy in this moment. I can travel anywhere I can do, but he's like, I'm miserable, and I don't know how to correct for that. Even though he can invest in coaching, therapy, and all, and he does like all kinds of stuff, he still has to do the work. And in fact, I would say it's worse for him, because his assumption was, if I spend 20, 30, 40 years doing this, I'll be better off. Now, I'm not saying shouldn't have time freedom, location freedom, and all that stuff, but he never explored the internal side of the freedom. What does that mean to me? And what he really wanted was a sense of peace, a sense of depth in his life, an experience that he would be like, you know what, this matters to me. And he doesn't have it.
Sense of peace is what a lot of people think freedom is. And like you talked about, they chase the wrong dream. They chase other people's dream instead of their own. Think about the lotto winner, right? Nobody knows them till they win the lotto. Nobody likes them till they win the lotto or that big prize. And all of a sudden, and it's happened even to celebrities. Think about celebrities who all of a sudden their friends are around, but their friends have hands out. Before, their friends didn't have hands out. Their friends were just there. But all of a sudden, you got so much money. Why don't you help me with this or help me with that and do this and do that? And if you look at celebrities, they don't always have the happiest of lives, even though everybody wants to be like them, because they can't go out in public. They can't do certain things. Some celebrities don't care and go out in public, and those are the happy ones, the ones that didn't do all the crazy drugs and all these different things that did not align with their purpose initially. They just wanted to be a superstar. They wanted to be famous. But with everything that we wish for, there's a consequence. There's a price we have to pay. And that goes even with our own personal lives. If I want to open up a brick and mortar, what does that mean? I have to pay the rent. I have to pay the utilities. I have to fill it with things. I have to get customers. So there's so many different things. When somebody else looks at somebody else running a business, they don't look at all the little details, marketing, budgeting, all these different things. And so everything in life is circumstantial. And what do you really want? So the purpose through business for me, personally, is to give, not to take. Not to take. I had an unhappy client because I got rid of one of their, in one of my businesses, I teach classes. I got rid of one class. I shifted the class, and then I gave him a different type of class. And my front manager just called me a little while ago and said, this person is so unhappy, blah, blah. And I said, that's great. At least they noticed the email that we send them. Now respond back and let them know that class is coming back. But during that time, we're going to let them come unlimited So they're getting more. And we added this extra class that they can come to for free. No charge, no nothing. So they're getting more than what they think they lost. But all they thought of is what I lost. And I'm giving them 4 times what they lost. But they don't see it because it's all about them. Me, 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 me. And for me, it wasn't about taking something away. Is in order for me to take something away, I had to take it away so I can give more. So the way I run my businesses is how can I provide more, a better experience in any of the businesses I do. I have several, and every business is looked at individually. How can we serve? That's what God told me to do, to help. Yeah.
Anita,
I
how
love
about
what
you?
you said there about having more, right? Because we all want to have more in a sense. We want more intelligence, more freedom, more joy, more and fulfilled relationships, and dealing with this level of conditions that we find ourselves in, and a lot of times we're looking at what's outside of us rather than what we can create. And our conditions are just conditional, they're temporary, right? But who we are in the essence of our being, our way of being, is developed on the inside. And from my research that I've found is the things that we look up on the outside are what creates our emotions, and the way we look at things and our feelings can sometimes lead us astray, right? Because we might not feel like we're in the mood. We might not feel like, this person is for us, but the conditions behind that are like, man, they probably just got in a fight with their boss or their partner or somebody, and then they had to show up and put a smile on their face and be that person. But when we're really showing up as a reset of who we are, when we show up and say, you know what, I'm not that argument, I'm not that situation, I'm not that abuse situation, I'm not that, I'm not stupid because I don't know. I just don't know. So I get to learn, and I get to step into these areas. And the other thing I love what you're talking about, Sifu, is, this level of challenge that you brought to the people in your class. And I'm a true believer that unless somebody creates a disruption in our life, we don't notice. It's the same old, same old. We become this autopilot way of thinking, doing, and being, rather than challenging ourselves and go, what are the possibilities in this scenario that could create a shift or change in my life, rather than looking at it in a negative, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, or, this person is doing something that's causing, me to resist. And it's like, yeah, so why am I resistant? Why does this bother me? So I love what you said there, and I love the fact that you're not attached that this person left your class, because it's
Oh, no, they're still with
easy.
us. They're just not happy at the moment till I let them know how happy they could be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of something Alex Hermosi always says, which I love his framework, is like business owners are either missionaries or mercenaries. And what we're talking about is missionary type of it, which means that there's a purpose behind what you're doing. There's a calling that you feel around it. And that's the sense that I get with everybody who's here. And mercenaries are those like, I got to make money and move this forward and move on to the next, which is fine. That's their approach. But I feel aligned with that direction. And maybe we can make it a little bit more real for the audience as well, because they're sitting there. Somebody might be sitting there thinking, okay, I built a business, or I'm trying to build a business. Why do I have that resistance that Anita is talking about? Why am I not showing up in service that Sifu is relating to? And why isn't it showing up in my experience? Well, it really depends which frame are you coming from, and why did you start that business, which connects to what we were talking, like, have you defined that sense of personal freedom for yourself, internal and external, that connects to your purpose? And you might not know how to do any of that, but human beings, we understand stories very well. We all have the same pattern of stories. We call it the archetypal stories, the hero story. And for me, when I was starting, first of all, if I go far back enough, I had to deal with a lot of addiction around drugs, alcohol, leading anything I could see, and I was addicted to around me, because my mind kept holding on to things to avoid pain, until I got to the bottom part where I just couldn't, my system couldn't deal with it. And I could have gone towards suicide, or I could have come out of it. And in my experience, at least in retrospect, I feel like there was grace from God in that moment, that I was saved, because there are a lot of people who have gone through what I've gone through, they weren't saved. So for me, there's this calling that came out of it. Okay, first of all, I need to figure myself out, because I don't know what to do. And I spent the next 15 years trying to figure that out. Then I connected with a coach, with a mentor, who helped me within 6 months, gave me more transformation than 15 years. I was like, and my first thought is, well, first of all, that was a painful process to go through. But my first thought after that was, why isn't that available to everybody? Why wasn't this person there? I didn't even know what to look for at the time. And then when I started my business, it wasn't really, it's like, I need to start a business. For me, it was like, I'm on a journey to grow and find my calling. It sounds weird and cliche and everything, but if I felt that it was real, like, I need to share that with the world. I ended up in a conference in California with 700 people from 47 different countries. And I was, for the first time, I was in a group of people who were those missionaries. They were like wanting to make a difference with their businesses, with their organizations, communities, whatever it was. And that's when I made a decision, you know what, I need to share this message somehow. And coaching became the medium in that process. Now, how can I do that? That how became the business. That how became the medium, the skill set that I needed to develop and share with people and take them through that process. And in the past decade, all I've done is hone in on the skill sets around it, and learn the business of medium, which was incredibly difficult because I'd never had run it. And I realized pretty much I was programmed to not think like somebody who could create any kind of value in the marketplace. So a lot of it was unlearning how I was taught to think. But in the process, what I realized in that mission was that was very close to who I was. And I was on a journey myself, but I wanted to be on that journey with other people and share that message. I felt like I needed to do that. It's cliche to say, well, it came from God. It doesn't matter. I felt it. And the more I've been in this journey, the more the mission has expanded and it has evolved. It has gone bigger. I get to collaborate with other people. And you can go back and say, well, have you built the life that you want? Yes, I have, because I was intentional around that. But the mission and the vision and the purpose has sustained this process, because everything is hard. Anything you do, running a business, creating a life, what is gonna give you the why, the deeper experience to help you go through that process. And if you're just starting a business for the sake of starting a business, you will probably start a business and run it, and you'll probably burn out in a few years or a few months. Not because you've worked a lot, but because you don't know why you started this, and you don't know why it's important enough for you to continue.
Yeah, I love that. I had a client who loved playing guitar. And he didn't know what he was doing with his life. And I said, you have a passion. I said, how can you make money from your passion? He goes, I've tried for bands and I've done this, and he's actually pretty good. And I said to him, I said, why don't you take your passion and become a coach with it? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, teach other people how to play guitar. It's that simple. I said, you love playing it. Now teach other people how to love it, and they're going to pay you. Well, teach people how to get started, and they're going to pay you. He goes, wow. So when you find your passion, I always say this in a funny way, because people tell me, no, don't do that. But I always say, when I grow up, I'm going to get a job. And I still haven't grown up, so it's not going to happen for me anytime soon. But it's the passion that drives your freedom. If we're looking for freedom, your passion is the one. Without passion, you're building a business. Maybe you're good, right? I knew somebody who went to school and they went to school for accounting. They were miserable the whole time. Now they love what they do and they're excelling at it. It has nothing to do with accounting. Zero. I know another gentleman, a client of mine, who became a lawyer. He worked for 3 months as a lawyer. He went through the bar. He passed the bar, the whole deal. He quit. He was miserable because he was following somebody else's dream. Now he's passionate about what he does and he's a happy person. So what do we have to do to build that freedom? I think is look for our passion. We have it.
I totally agree with that. Absolutely. I have a funny story. So my daughter, she'd been working on getting her insurance license for the last year and a half, and we're so much alike. And I'm like, sure you want to do that? Oh yeah, it makes really good money, Mom. And I'm like, okay. So have you looked at what, like the outcome of what you're doing, what the long-term goal, what that looks like? And she was like, oh yeah, it'll be great. And over time, she's sitting there and I know her so well because she's a super observer. She's like, she'll walk in a room and she'll just observe everything, and break it down. And I told her a story about, I said, there was a time after college that I went to a insurance class to learn. And I was falling asleep in like the first couple hours. And I was like, I don't know, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to tell her what to do. Right. She gets to figure it out. And she got in it. She passed her license. She passed her next test. She goes, Mom, I hate this. And I'm like, do what you love. Do what lights you up. Do the thing that makes you feel alive. Because I think that's, to me, that is the essence of freedom, is this sense of aliveness in us. And that's why billionaires and millionaires and people are unhappy. The celebrities that you talked about is because they've just lost this sense of aliveness. They've been trapped in their house and not able to go out. They've been, they're the restrictions. And every time there's a restriction, I believe it's like a piece of our life is being taken out, right? It's this element that is missing. And we all know what that feels like because we've all had loss. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story because it's so relative to the mission, right? What is the long-term outcome?
I've had the pleasure of working with multimillionaires and billionaires, and there's been two aspects of it. You're right, Anita and Faisal, about some of them are locked in because of it's not even because of the celebrity. It's because how they deal with it and handle it, and how they don't have boundaries around that. Because people in the world can respect it. Not everybody, but if you come and if they go out and do the things that they want to do and create a boundary around themselves, they can do things. And of course, it depends on the level of celebrity that they are. And often but often I think it's more of their personal mindset, their personal boundaries around who they are. And at the same time, once you've reached that certain level of success, for some people, they get locked in as far as they think, I have to stay here. So I have to work harder. So if something happens, I'm still here. I got to be here. I got to be here. And so they're constantly racing for this here-ness. And that might be, I need to have another Lamborghini. I need to have a Benz. I need to have this $1 million house. Even when their kids have all moved out, and you don't need that space anymore. Like if you're going to have a whole bunch of people over, to me, it would make more sense to live here and rent something for the weekend for people to come and hang out with you. And so for me, I'm a publicist, but although I'm a publicist, I do way more than publicity. I ended up end up consulting people on how they live their lives and how they do their business and how they show up and things that are possible. And really my whole focus and my major happiness has been through helping them see that you can live differently and you don't have to have the expectations of who you are supposed to be. Okay, yeah, that's always going to be there some, but you can decide what it's going to be. And the people that I had the most fun working with was, the billionaires who acted like they were poor people. And they had a lot of fun because nobody ever, and it was funny how they could go from being the most clean shaven hip hop guy and everybody's like, oh, all around them because they're a billionaire. And then the next day they're wearing like regular Levi's and regular shoes and just a ratty old t-shirt and disheveled hair and don't wear their Rolex, don't drive their fancy car, drive their old car. And then everybody treats them like they're normal because they just look like the guy next door. That to me has been the most fun. They're the most fun people to work with. First of all, they're peaceful, they're in a good space, they have money, but it's not about their money. It's about having that freedom to live and be who they want to be without having to have this facade of other people deciding who or what is around them. And what I guess I consider those secret millionaires. Like you don't even know. So many times I'm around people that have no idea who has money and who doesn't have money around them. And it's not even about what money, what is our assets. So there's a difference between having money and having assets. So you could be around multimillionaires, but you have no idea. But you haven't asked. Well, Faisal, you know this. Nobody's asked. So, what is your home portfolio? What is your rental portfolio? They don't know that you have all this other stuff going for you because chances are those aren't the people who were bragging about it. So often there's a lot of people with a lot of money around you and they are quiet and subdued and they're kind of like watching. They don't have to be the limelight. And it's a fun world. And I really, and you're right. It's the passion of being with them. It's so much fun. I really love taking people who are already being successful and helping them be even more successful and to do it through other ways, passive income streams, and to help them figure out ways of creating partnerships and just play and be fun. All right, I've talked enough. You guys, it's your turn.
Well, I do have something I want to talk about for a quick sec.
Sure.
Because you live on a farm.
Yeah.
You live on what, 43, 42 acres?
50 acres, yeah.
50? Okay. So you are still going out there. You're still helping people. And you realize that you're doing it for them, but now you're doing it for you. So you're building the freedom to be able to say no to certain people. And that takes also courage. I think sometimes when we have to build that freedom, courage is part of something that we don't always talk about. We always talk about wealth and this and that, but we're not talking about the courage that it takes to do what you're doing. You've been on the road for a long time. You're home now, and we saw each other in Canada. But prior to that, after Canada, I'm going to Chicago. I'm going here. I'm going to, because your freedom allows you to do that. You've built that freedom. Talk to us for a minute, if you can, about that.
Yeah. So I could choose to not work at all and live a very comfortable, happy life. I choose to work because that's what makes me happy. I really love being able to use my creativity and problem solving to come up with things. By the way, you don't have to have a problem to problem solve. So basically, let me describe that. So I have a client who's doing phenomenally well, multimillionaire, and he's doing a certain project. And I was like, what can we do with that project to make it more fun, reach more people?
We lost you for a second.
Yeah. It's got cut off.
I know what
Just
she was
when
about to say.
good, right?
More powerful, more people, reach more people.
Yeah. I was like, and I lost connectivity. and have all this amazing outreach to other people. What could we do to make it better? So then I started thinking and coming up with ideas. And then I'm like, hey, we could do this. We could do that. We could do that. He's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Let's promote it. Let's do this. Let's bring in more partners. And that's what gets me excited about being able to do that. And then by being able to do that, the contracts I have with clients now is I'm like, I need the freedom to do this. Or I like, if we're doing this, I'm sorry, my granddaughter has softball game and that's priority. So priority there. And so, the things that lock in, obviously, if they're doing an event, I'm going to make sure I'm there at the event and that's going to happen. But I schedule their events around things that are important to me. So, for example, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love trick-or-treating with my grandkids and my whole family goes to my girlfriend's house. That is my big deal. I do not plan anything the last 2 weeks of October. That is precious gold to me, and nobody gets to mess in that. I don't care how much money they offer me. The answer is no. And I've been offered awards. I've been offered to speak, and I'm like, no, thank you. I appreciate it. If you do it another day, I'll come, but I'm not coming. So yeah, thank you.
That is definitely freedom to be able to say to no, even if it's a lot of money. Let me share something with you because I'm so passionate about it. Take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Your momentum is waiting. And that's what I'm passionate about. Helping people realize that they have more to give, but they need to be around longer to do so. Right?
Definitely super important things. Anita, would you talk about what you're doing with your business and how you're helping people with building freedom and purpose through business through what you do specifically?
I would love to. I work with professionals who have gone through narcissistic abuse, and they are just locked in this cage. It's like an invisible cage that was created through conditioning. And so by increasing awareness, not only for the people that have gone through it, but the people that are around them, so that they can be helpful and be able to understand how this all happens, because narcissists, in essence, want to take all the good things about you and in a sense, in a very peculiar sense, try to own it and diminish you in the process. So it's a rebuilding process. And I own actually a contracting company where we build custom homes. So I'm using a lot of the principles of the clearing of the land, of preparing, which is the hardest part, and then digging in and finding out, what am I really working with? Building a solid foundation, creating a framework within that, and then really soliding up your structure, right? Because we need a solid structure that makes us unshakable. And then we wrap it and protect it and go in and do the finish work. So in retrospect of personal development, being able to identify what stage you're in, and every building process is important to be able to go through in the right order. Because if you're out of order, a lot of things fall apart and you create more work and confusion for yourself. So this is a simplistic path to just really be able to measure and identify where are you at in the process, and then be able to set your goals and your visions and start rebuilding your life. A life without confidence, a life without identity, a life without boundaries is really a life that's miserable and full of chaos. So just creating, this knowledge base, like when we can crack open the door of awareness, it's like, oh, that's what I've been dealing with. It makes it so much easier to make knowledged and intentional and focused decisions, because where focus goes, our energy goes. And this just builds confidence naturally, helping these individuals regain what they've lost and come back better than they were before. Super exciting work.
Well, I love how you connected house building to that, because you got to clear out the junk. You got to clear out the debris. You got to know what you're working with. And then you have to dig. You have to dig, right? The higher the house, the deeper the foundation, right? I was in construction. I also have a wood shop that we build high-end custom woodwork, but we need to be able to rip it all apart in order to build it correctly. I love that. Faisal, you've been listening to all of us go on and on and on. What are your thoughts, and what are you doing for your clients? Because I love the calmness that you have, and the integrity that you bring to your clients. So talk to us about that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like there's one framework that connects a lot of what we've been talking about the past 10 minutes. I learned this from this a successful investor. I love this guy, Naval Ravikant. And I've been playing around with it the past few years, and especially what Dr. Andrea was sharing. The reason why people don't create a life that's based on freedom, whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, or starting out, is because most people are playing status games versus freedom games. In their mind, they think that they're going for freedom, but the reality is that they're looking to appear free rather than actually having freedom. And I did a whole training on this, around this for my community for like 30 minutes. But just the basic form of it is, and unfortunately, most of us are trained for a status game since childhood. When we are a good boy or a good girl, and our parents congratulate us, and we say, "Yeah, good, you're a good boy." And then we go to teachers; they grade you based on how well you behave, and then later on, when we go to work, we are kind of incrementally, and then we're punished for mistakes. A lot of times, we're punished for Robert Kiyosaki talks about where in school we're punished for cheating, but the whole world works around collaboration. We're not taught collaboration very well. You don't need to hide information and test people on their memory. You need to just give them all the information and let them come up with solutions together. Most of my clients that I work with, they've all gone through very successful careers, 20 plus years of becoming lawyers, managers, and engineers and scientists of all kinds. But now, after 20 plus years of trying to build a path that feels aligned with who they are and their purpose, they're trying to build a business, they're going on an investment path. The struggle they have is they can't get rid of that thought process of playing status games. Their mind does that constantly. So even the example that Dr. Andrea talked about is that they have kind of settled on an area. And if you really look deep down, whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, or a successful person, you've locked yourself in there, not because you want to be locked in, but because you are afraid what other people are going to think if you restart completely or go to a lower level of status, or you don't know what you're doing. So you're not going to restart. You have to play that game there. And most of my clients struggle, and they don't even realize it. And it's like hundreds of things around them, and it's embedded, and they don't see it. It's completely blind to them. But as soon as I walk them through a process, and it's a coaching process to get them to see their own blind spots and areas of opportunities they can accelerate. And what happens, for example, my clients within 3 to 6 months, all of a sudden they quit a 20-year career, they move state, they go to a different place. I don't tell them what to do, any of that stuff. They start to see their blind spots. They're just like, holy shit, I'm playing a game that I never wanted to play. I've been programmed to play that game all my life. And not only that, I'm teaching my kids and everybody around me to play the same goddamn game that doesn't work. So and that's what I do, is I help people see things that they're not able to see. And one of my favorite philosophers who said that most people are harmed by things they cannot see, not by things they can't see. We know what the things are that we need to improve and change and all that stuff. We might not do it, but we will do it when the pain gets worse enough. But most of the time, the things that we don't see are the things that hurt us, and 5 years, 10 years later, we go into regret, whether it's a failed marriage, failed business, failed life. And then I'll give one last thing for people to think about. And this is, I'll make it a little bit more painful here. So we all, statistically speaking, if we start from zero, we have about 4,000 weeks in our life. That's assuming you live a healthy life and you live to be about 80 something years old. And all of us I'll make some assumptions. I'll make assumption for myself before I offend somebody. So for me, if I take sleeping and everything into account, I have 1,000 weeks left. I have 1,000 weeks left. I want to have fun. I want to connect with the people around me. I want to leave this world a little bit better than I came into it. I want to pass on something to my kids, nieces, nephews, and my community that they can actually use and move forward with them. I want to give them a model that doesn't just train them to be a bunch of robots. And my hope is that I work with leaders to create better families, better communities, better organizations around them, and actually start to live what matters to them deep down and why they came here for. I think that's possible within a few months. Most people can't figure it out their whole life. And if you want to do something like that, hit me up. It'll be fun.
Wow, powerful. So we are at that point where we're basically ending the show. I'm going to let Faisal go first, but Anita, can you in the private chat put your link so people can connect with you when it's your turn? Everybody's going to get 45 seconds. Tell us what they can expect when they connect with you. So Faisal, my friend.
You can just go to my website. You'll be able to download a PDF. You can also book a call with me if you want. I take people through a very long, painful process before they can they can sign up for any of my programs, because I don't know if I can help you. And I take you through a process to, first of all, let you see if I can support you or not. And if I can help you, if we're the right fit. If we are, then there's a commitment on the other end. If we're not, I'll give you a bunch of resources, bunch of stuff for free. You can play with it and work with it. There's nothing I do that's hidden. I only work with a few people, and I have my own life, my own community. I show up as a leader and for my family, community, everybody else. So I don't, just like Dr. Andrea, I don't work with everybody. I don't work constantly. I have multiple responsibilities, but I take you through a process to help you see beyond a shadow of doubt that this is for you or not. And my values are around what Sifu said, is I give before I ever ask for anything else. And so you just go, the starting point of that journey is go to my website, download this PDF. It will take you through that process completely free. You might not even need to work with me, and it will help you.
Love it. Love it. Wow. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you also being here with us today. Anita, you're up. 45 seconds.
Thank you, Sifu. My company name is Meant for More, and it's really my mantra that I live by. It's my mantra that I invite people into my world with, and I am a true believer that awareness of what you're dealing with, as well as self-awareness. Where are you at? What are the things that you are dealing with, and what are the things that you learned? And yes, there are patterns that we are conditioned to learn from the childhood, and looking at those takes courage. So if you're interested in connecting, I put my Calendly link. I usually charge for a session, but I'm going to give a free opportunity for you to connect with me. And we'll just go through a discovery call and maybe create some clarity in the process where we can really see where you're at and what you're dealing with, so that you know what steps to take going forward. Thank you.
Beautiful. Love it. Also, you have an event coming up that you allowed me to be one of the speakers. Tell us about that quickly.
Yes, it's called Stronger Than You Think. And I'm a true believer that we have no idea what our true potential is until we start digging in. And Sifu is an expert in this area. And I have 15 speakers that are going to be at this event. It is going to be so powerful and jam-packed with so many golden nuggets that you can really start to disrupt your thinking, disrupt those patterns to really take a look at where you're at and assess. And you really, by exposure to this, can really go, wow, I didn't realize this. And we learn from each other so quickly. And we get insight, and it's actually an accelerator that helps us move forward. So yeah, Stronger Than You Think is the event, and I would love for you to come. I can put the link in the chat too to be able to give you access to register for the event.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely do that. Dr. Andrea, thank you for that, Anita. And I'm excited to be at your event. Dr. Andrea, you know how much I love you. You to me are so dear and so incredible and so powerful, yet so kind-hearted. Tell us what people can expect when they connect with you.
Yeah, so you can connect with me through any social media, through Andrea Adams-Miller or Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller. And I'm the redcarpetconnection.com as far as my website. And I work with a few people a lot. However, I've been realizing that there's a lot of people who'd like to work with me and do things with me. And so I was like, how could I do that and make myself accessible to a group? And so I created something called the Wealth and Legacy Alliance, and it's a 3-tiered community, but it starts with an incubator. So it's a Wealth and Alliance incubator. It's 12 weeks where you have to apply. I'm like Faisal, you have to apply. We have to know are you willing to do this? You got to jump through some hoops. If you're not willing, then you're just not the right person for me to work with. And if you really want us to do an audit of your business, a look at your messaging, your branding, how you show up, how you talk, how you present yourself, and what your packages are, so that way at the end of the 12 weeks, you've got what it takes so you could show up at a mastermind and not be lost. And when somebody's asking you, do you have this, do you have that, you don't have to go, oh, well, I mean, I might. None of that. No hesitation. It's 12 weeks of hard ass work to get your stuff done. But it's fun. We make work fun. We actually don't work hard. We play hard. And then that makes it really successful. So if you think you're interested in being in an incubator and by the end of summer, having everything that you need to run your business, well, here's your chance to work with somebody who works with multimillionaires and billionaires. So there you go. Again, the red carpet. And Sifu, tell them all about you.
I'm excited about one of the new ventures that I am sharing publicly, but I've been doing this my whole life. It's to reset your mind and your body with Sifu's Mind Body Method. It's easy to join. It's my name, SifuRafael.com/SMBM. And I work with people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's it. It's pretty simple. We go through mindset, fasting, the whole deal. You saw my commercial. If you're looking for a reset, I'm your guy, but I'm there to guide you. I can't do the work for you. You actually have to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, try somebody else, because I will put you through the work. Thank you, everybody. What a great show. If you got something from this show, if you received the message that you were meant to receive today, and you know somebody else who needs to hear it, send this out. Share it on your socials. Share it everywhere. Thank you, everybody. Have yourself a blessed and beautiful day. Everybody.
Take care, y'all. Thank you for having us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.